select Cade Cunningham from Oklahoma State.
Alright, Pistons fans, so in today's video, we're going to be talking about Deandre Ayton. I've been meaning to make a video on him for a very long time, and today I'm finally doing it. Now, after doing my research, for the most part, I am all in on Deandre Ayton. I really like the player that is Deandre Ayton. I feel like him coming to the Pistons as a player would fit perfectly with this team. But there is one major issue that I found with him after doing my research that really makes me question and think twice when it comes to going after someone like him. There is one major, and I mean major issue that he has where I would be willing to pause on him coming to the Pistons. But for the most part, him as a player and the potential of him playing with this team, my gosh, it is there. And also, this is a if the Phoenix Suns let him go type of situation, okay? There's a major possibility that the Suns could bring him back and he could return to them. But in this video, we are only going to be discussing if the Suns let him go. Now, before we get into all of that, please make sure you guys like this video. Today's like goal, as always, will be 100 likes. Subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 4.1K subscribers on the channel. I know it's a weird number, but I'm trying to get to 4.1K by the time this year ends. Subscribe to my backup channel as well. I'm gonna put that image on the screen, the Flash Joe Polo. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and like this video. So let me give you guys a little brief history lesson on Deandre Ayton. He went to the University of Arizona before coming into the NBA. In college, he averaged 20 points, 11 rebounds, and 2 blocks. And he was a killer in college, okay? He was the Pac-12 Player of the Year. He was the Defensive Player of the Year. He was the MVP in the Pac-12 tournament. Like, there are so many awards that he had in college. He was on the all-freshman team. He had so many awards. He was just a killer in college, and he deserved to be the #1 pick at the time. Obviously, in hindsight, we know how other players in the draft turned out to end up becoming more talented than him. But at the time, he was a beast in his position. So in 2018, the Phoenix Suns took him at #1. And so far in his career, he's averaged 16 points, 10 rebounds, and 1 block. Ayton is 6'11", 250 pounds, and now we're gonna kind of talk about him as a player. So the first thing, and what really got me interested in him, is because I feel like he can definitely work out with Cade Cunningham and Killian Hayes. And the main reason for that is because you got to look at the players that he's playing with right now. He's working with Devin Booker and Chris Paul. That is about as good as it gets as a center in the NBA. And when you look at the comparison from Cade to Killian and Booker to Paul, it's very similar in some ways. You look at Devin Booker, the scorer type, you can kind of see Cade Cunningham in that light. Now, obviously, they're very different players, but just think about the prototypes as scorers. I can see the Cade and Devin Booker comparison right there. And then the Killian Hayes, Chris Paul comparison is the fact that they're both really talented passers. So with the same prototypes, if Deandre Ayton is having success over there with the Phoenix Suns, playing with those two guys, he could play really well with our two guys over here on the Pistons. Hey, you got to think about it like this. They even made it to the NBA Finals with those two guys over there. And then the finals, Deandre Ayton averaged 14 points and 12 rebounds. So that was my first point, man. My second point when it comes to Deandre Ayton is that obviously it will massively help out Isaiah Stewart. You know, Stewart and just this team in general, we've needed a big this entire season. And I especially go back to the Miami Heat game where, you know, you had Jimmy Butler sitting out, you had Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, you had all their major guys sitting out. And you had random G League guys, undrafted guys, second round guys, a whole bunch of players that we've never heard of before, and they gave the Pistons some work. They had this center, his name was Vretsev or something like that. Never heard of him before. I know a lot of unnamed guys in the NBA. I know a lot of G League guys, but he was a dude who I never heard of before. But he was a center, and he was giving Isaiah Stewart work and problems because Stewart doesn't have any help out there. But if you ask someone like Deandre Ayton, you never have that issue ever again. You will not be getting bodied by random players in the NBA. And then also, you know, if we add someone like Deandre Ayton, you also have to think about this changes the rotations in the lineup drastically. Now, look, there are some things that I wouldn't want to happen. You know, for example, I'm a big Killian Hayes fan. I want him to continue to be in the starting lineup. But if we added someone like Ayton, there will be a possibility that Hayes could get sent to the bench. Or another possible option, you know, some people want Isaiah Stewart to switch to the power forward position. That could be a possibility if we added someone like Ayton. So, you know, with him, there are so many scenarios, so many ways that you can mix and match the lineup that I think would be interesting. Now, Dwayne Casey, he isn't really the type of coach that I want to be messing with lineups like that because he isn't really that good when it comes to managing lineups. But at the end of the day, it does open up a new style to the lineups, adding someone like Ayton. The next point that I wanted to mention is that this will open up the floor for Cade Cunningham, and what I mean by that is the recent game where Cade Cunningham was getting double teamed on darn near every play, in pick and roll situations, they would literally double Cade Cunningham and leave the roll man wide open. So I'm expecting to see more of that, later down the line in his career, maybe later in the season, but especially in his sophomore year when the league figures players out a little bit more. I'm expecting Cade Cunningham to get doubled a lot more. But if we added someone like Deandre Ayton, you can't really do that because in the pick and roll, you're not going to leave Ayton wide open. So you would be forced to go one-on-one with Cade Cunningham, which will benefit Cade. And then, just thinking about adding a scorer on this team like Ayton, it would just open up the floor for everyone on this team. We need more scoring from our big man. I love Isaiah Stewart, but he really isn't a scorer right now. Ayton, I kind of think about him in the same light that I would think about someone like Andre Drummond, kind of. You guys remember when Andre Drummond was on this team, he would have his nights where sometimes he would come out and get 20 points and 20 rebounds. I feel like Deandre Ayton could definitely do the same thing on the Pistons. Ayton could be a lob threat for the Pistons. And then Ayton, he's not a shot blocker like that, but he is a rim protector. He is an intimidator, if you know what I'm saying. Like, he's not the type of guy who's going to be going out there and getting like 3-4 blocks a game. He won't do that. But he's definitely a guy who will have a presence down there in the paint and will make guys think twice about driving inside. Now look, here's my last 2 points and my things that really does concern me when it comes to Deandre Ayton. The first thing is, if the Suns let him go, that's a big question mark. That's a big red flag if you ask me. Like, the team that drafted him, he helped them get to the finals, but even them, they're willing to let him go. Even when you have someone like Chris Paul and you have someone like Devin Booker, if they're willing to let him go, that would be a really big red flag for me. And then also the type of money that he wants. I looked it up. He wants 5 years, $207 million. Okay, that is the max. That's the most he could possibly get with him being the first overall pick. And he wants the back. He wants all the money that he could possibly get. And that is something that is just really, really concerning to me, man, because that is Cade Cunningham type of money, okay? Cade Cunningham, a few years down the line, if he asked the Pistons for 5 years, $207 million, I could completely understand that, and I would be willing to give him that money. But Deandre Ayton, man, is he really, really worth $207 million? I don't think so, man. I really like him as a player, but is he worth that type of money? That is kind of absurd to me. I would really, really love to add him to this Pistons team, but if he's going to be going into free agency and he wants this type of money, I don't think we're going to offer it to him. And honestly, I don't think any other team will be willing to offer him that type of money. And then he's probably going to have to do a reality check and reevaluate what type of money that he wants. And then if he reevaluates what type of money that he wants, then I will want him to come to the Pistons. But at 5 years, $207 million, that is just a tad bit too much for me, man. So Pistons fans, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like this video, comment on this video, share this video. Thank y'all for 4K, and I'm out.
What was the feeling like for you to have this happen where you went from 19 wins your rookie year to now getting ready to compete for a world championship?
It's actually crazy.